and on so forth, that my life really started to change. I just started noticing a difference around the people I was hanging around. And one day, we noticed this guy was really just following us. And Chicago was pretty big, in the uptown area especially. Just in a district alone, it's like 500,000 people just within that district. So just to see, kept seeing this guy, and to run to a person 3 times in an hour, that's kind of impossible at home unless someone is following you. So I told my friend, I said, hey, this guy is following me. And my guy, oh, you're paranoid. Nobody's thinking about you. You're not big time like that. So I was like, okay. But the second time I saw him, I said, hey, wait a minute. Something is not right. And I had a weird feeling in my gut about this guy. So I guess an hour had passed, and I just brushed it off. But I was coming outside my building, and I saw him again. I said, okay, I'm going to go up to this guy and ask him where I know him from. And as I approached him, he said, hey, do you have a lighter? So as I was digging in my pocket, I was going to say, sir, but then all of a sudden I saw a green flash. It was a bright green flash, and I smelled sulfur. It smelled like burning matches. That's what I remember distinctively, the smell of like matches if you would set a matchbook on fire. All of a sudden I looked up, and the guy looked at me with a smirk, and he just kind of like evil grin, like, I got you. It was just like it was so evil, but I just remember everything moving in slow motion, and I fell back. When I fell backwards, this is where the supernatural part started. This is when my life changed. When I fell backwards, everything went blank, dark. But this kind of darkness is not a darkness that's here on earth. This darkness is alive. It's a gripping darkness. I mean, it was so dark, like I was saying, that you can blindfold yourself, put yourself under the ground, blindfold yourself again, and it still doesn't compare to this type of darkness. It's a spiritual component to the darkness that I was in. But the weirdest part was when I fell backwards, I started instantly falling forward. I was falling down face forward as I fell backwards. That was the weirdest part. That's the spiritual aspect of it. But as I'm falling, I don't even know how to measure it. They say the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. It was faster than that. It was just going. But the further I'm going down, just falling and falling, the more and more I felt like I was getting stripped of everything. I knew I was getting stripped of the things that God gave me that I took for granted, like hope, love, fellowship, patience, everything. The further I was falling down fast, everything was getting stripped from me, and I was getting more and more afraid. But this is a different type of fear. It's not a fear like here on earth. It's a different fear that you have to experience. Like the Lord says, there's a difference between reading and talking, but experience. But there's no other way. I'm gonna try to get close as I can to explain this, because there's a lot of things spiritually that can't be put in words here on this earth, in this dimension, so to speak. But as I'm falling, I'm feeling more and more frightening. I started hearing, the first thing I noticed was laughter around me. As I'm falling, it was like this laughter, and it was like these giggling little but the laugh itself, they were laughing, I felt it. It was a different type of laugh. It was a demonic hatred. Like I just knew whatever was laughing at me hated me more than like with anything you can even describe. But as I'm falling, I hear this laughter. The second thing that caught my attention was this horrible smell. See, people don't realize when you leave the physical body, you still have your 5 senses. You still have them, but the thing is they're upgraded, they're modified. They're very more modified. I mean, times a million. Your sight, your hearing, your vision, your touch, everything you still have those things. So this is not a fairy tale where people, been taught that when you die, you just pass away. Everything's completely different. Yeah, it is different, but your senses are highly modified. But I smelled the smell, and the smell, I can even just talking about it right now. So I'm sorry if I pause a little bit, because a lot of this comes back to me and I still get a little emotional, but the smell alone is so bad. Like I can't even describe it. There's nothing. You can have 1,000 corpses and dead animals and whatever you want to put into the mush. It smells like Febreze compared to what I smell in hell, the way it smells. So as I'm falling, then I noticed a little light, and it was so small, it was a pinpoint of light. And I heard, and as I'm falling, it's getting bigger and bigger. And then that's when it hit me. I knew, and I thought it was a fairy tale. I'm not gonna lie, I just thought hell was a fairy tale. I thought it was a place of fantasy. I thought it was a scare tactic used by religions. I knew, I said, I'm going to hell. See, time doesn't exist over in eternity the way it exists here. So all the time that I'm falling, people say, how would you have time? Time doesn't exist the way you can't even fathom it. Eternity, it has no time. So as I'm falling, I knew this was hell. And then I heard the screams of the people. Yeah, the screams and the yells of the while as I'm falling. And this portal, may I call it the portal, was getting bigger. You can just hear, and I knew it had to be billions, hundreds of millions of billions of people down there. I mean, screaming, and then their screams are gut wrenching. The same way I heard those demonic laughs, I can feel it in my gut and feel it in my soul. Those screams were worse because it was suffering. It was blasphemous things being yelled. It was just horrible. You know, people begging for one more chance. I mean, the thing is, when you're in the spirit, you can hear 1,000 noises at one time, but you can decipher and know each one, whether they're playing simultaneously or not. You can distinctively know and hear everything. You know, like I said, it's hard to explain, but that's the closest I can get to it. But as I fall and I see this